This is Katie Lopez with the Tampa Bay Chamber, and I want to thank and welcome the viewers for tuning in to our 2024 candidate interview series for Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. The Chamber focuses on policy, not politics, and while we do not endorse, we do want to make sure that our members and the business community are informed of where candidates stand on the issues that are most important to them. We are excited to welcome Sean Shaw, running for District 6. Thank you for joining us, Sean.
Well, thanks for having me.
So the first question we have for you as we head into the home stretch for Election Day is asking you to give us a 30-second or less update on your campaign and what message you want to deliver to voters.
Man, we're at the home stretch here, and it has been a while, and I'm excited. I'm happy. Any campaign, this is kind of the time where you're just doing all the things you can to kind of raise the money and get the word out and all those sorts of things before voting starts. But I'm excited for the same reason that I decided to get in this race. I just want to help people and make lives better and help everyday people in their everyday lives. And that's kind of why I got into politics. And that's why this seat was so attractive. And so I'm trying to make that case to the voters. And should I be honored with the ability to be on the county commission, then it's my turn to try to do that when I get elected. So I'm excited.
Thank you. Now, when you think about county government, how can you use that authority and resources to direct job growth that is inclusive of diverse talent?
Well, one thing, traffic is an answer to a lot of questions, right? I mean, no matter where I go in the county, that's on everyone's top three issues is traffic. And traffic's not just because you don't want to sit in a car when you're going from point A to point B. It is a lot of economic development. It is a lot of where people can live versus where they work and how much it costs for people to live in a certain place. If you can't get to your job on time and on a regular basis, then you have to live somewhere else. And that affects what kind of job you can have and where you can work. And so we've really got to get our arms around this and look for a way to keep more cars off the road, quite frankly. And I think that's one thing that businesses look at when they're looking at the Tampa Bay community. We've got so many good things here. We are a really attractive place to be. I just think traffic is one of the things we have not quite figured out yet, and we've got to do it to kind of get us to that next level.
One of the key duties of the county commissioners is to construct, approve, and implement a budget. What one area of county services do you feel needs the most additional resources, and should any part of the county budget be shielded from cuts?
I'll answer the second part first. No, all parts of the budget, in my opinion, deserve the same scrutiny, all of them. The first part of the question is really similar to my last response. Transportation, roads, sidewalks, buses, all these, these sorts of things are vital. Our transportation infrastructure, so to speak, I think is very important. And again, we can't build our way out of the traffic, but we can certainly repair roads and repair sidewalks. I was the chair of the IOC committee at one point, and that was the committee that was tasked with making recommendations on how that transit money that at one point we had and now we don't, but how that money was going to be spent. And it was awesome the types of things that were going to be done, whether that was sidewalk extensions, whether that was bike lanes, whether that was fixing intersections and fixing bus stops and these sorts of things, all these things that you don't kind of think about, but taken together, they all are part of our transit infrastructure. And if we're going to fix transportation, that's important that we maintain spending on that infrastructure.
The renewal of the community investment tax, also known as the CIT, will be on the ballot this fall for voters to decide whether to continue the 0.5% sales tax that funds capital improvement projects across Hillsborough County. What is your position on the CIT renewal and why?
Oh, I absolutely support it. Again, for some of the reasons I said before, we've got to figure out some of this transportation stuff, but the education piece, I think, is really important to the CIT. I'm disappointed that the county commission cut the percentage that goes to our education colleagues, but I'm glad it's in there nonetheless. We have massive needs that we've got to fund in this county. And we've got massive needs that are coming up. I talked about transit infrastructure, but we've got water infrastructure issues that are very close to coming due that we're going to have to rapidly get our arms around. And these are multi-billion-dollar water infrastructure things that we've got to get on the books and start doing. So we've got a lot of needs. We're a growing county. We are a county that grows a lot. It grows a lot every day. And for the same reason that we all love it. We want to be here, and we moved to Tampa Bay, or we stayed in Tampa Bay because we love it and other people love it too. But when you've got a county that's expanding that rapidly, it comes with a cost. And so that's why I think the CIT is vital to kind of maintaining at a minimum where we are and kind of getting us to that next tier.
Housing affordability remains a top concern for residents and the business community as we seek to recruit and retain a strong workforce. What zoning or policy changes would you support to address the growing workforce housing needs in Hillsborough County?
You cannot make housing more affordable by allowing less of it to be built. You have to allow the building to take place because that's what keeps the supply at a level that keeps housing down. So that's number one. And there's a lot of things that lead to this increased housing. Again, transit is one of them. Another one is insurance. Another one is something that I can't really control, but one that in my political career has really been focused on since the time I first ran for elected office. That's property insurance in the state of Florida. It's been high since I first got elected and first started running 25 years ago, and it's high right now. And it's a huge reason that Florida, the housing affordability of Florida in general is so high. That's not a thing I don't think that I can get my arms around as a county commissioner, but it's something you have to be cognizant of when you're making these decisions. And so we've got to allow building to take place. If you can allow building to take place where we have density, if we allow transit options to then be presented at that same dense point, I mean, wouldn't it be great if you got a building that's dense and transit options around, affordable housing all in one spot? Then people don't need a car. Now you're cooking with gas when you've got all these things working together. And I just think we've got to do a good job, maybe even a better job of focusing on all these things as we move forward. The last, 25 years of Hillsborough County, no one would have anticipated the type of growth we've seen now. Now that we know what it is, we've got to get our arms around affordable housing and around transit and some of these other things that are really holding us back from getting to kind of that top tier.
And transportation challenges do continue to weigh on our region. So, what do you see as an opportunity for investment in innovative transit alternatives and mobility options?
Things that allow people to not have to get in their car, whether that's rapid buses, whether that is, again, more bike lanes and sidewalks help where this is concerned, particularly in the urban core. I live in the urban core here in Tampa, and so buses are a huge and vital component of getting your arms around traffic. But I'm also cognizant that the county is not serviced by buses all around, and so there's a road widening component to this. There's a road fixing component to it. There's a bus component to it. I think there's a sidewalk and bike component to it. There's a lot of different ways to start doing this, but you can't just do one, in my opinion. And you can't just put all the money to fixing roads. That doesn't solve the problem. What does solve the problem is if you take the finite amount of funds we have and start spreading it around with all of these solutions. For example, I'd love rail. I'd love light rail. I also realize how expensive it is and how long it takes to get that infrastructure. And I also know that there's a lot of people in the county that need help today. And light rail may come 15, 20 years from now. So I just think we've got to be varied and diverse in the way we tackle this transportation issue.
Of all the issues confronting Hillsborough County, which single issue is most important to you and why? And what would you do about it if you are elected?
Gosh, I want to say something other than transportation. But as you can tell, that's my number one. Let me try to at least give you another one, and that's climate change. And that is how vulnerable Tampa is to rising sea level and hurricane level rise when those things sorts of happen, and making sure that our water infrastructure can support and keep us safe from flooding and when these things happen. And so I think As I said before, water infrastructure is going to be a huge thing going forward, but it is very expensive, but it is very necessary. It's not something you can just keep kicking down the road. There's places in this county when they turn on that water tap, they barely have water pressure. That's not acceptable. That is, we've got to fix that, and it's very expensive. But our constituents demand that they have, well, there's certain things that people expect. That's electricity, that is water, and that is clean air and clean environment. And so I think we've got to. That's why the CIT tax I think is so important, and that's why we've got to do a good job of going to the citizens in this county and tell them what the needs are. Tell them if there are going to be taxes, what exactly those taxes are going to go towards, and what it'll mean in their lives.
Where can voters go to learn more about your campaign and your position on issues that are most important to them?
SeanShaw.com, SeanShaw.com. That's the website, or you can email me directly. I answer the emails about policy stuff. I'm a policy nerd at heart. I love this stuff. Sean at SeanShaw.com is my email address. And if you email that, that comes directly to me, and I'd be happy to kind of answer these things to the extent I can, but I also know what I don't know. I've never served on the county commission. I am not an incumbent. So I know that there are some things that I'm not going to be able to get my arms around until I actually get there and start looking at it. And so I do know enough to know I don't know it all.
Well, Sean Shaw, candidate for Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners, District 6, on behalf of our members and our board of directors, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us and your willingness to serve in an elected office. This concludes our candidate interview.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.